Yo, hello, finished Act 2, finally. And I thought it was a pretty solid quest. I think there could have been a lot of improvements and such, but I think it served more as a setup more than anything. Like, things happen, but things didn't really happen. So, it's pretty much just like trying to set up a bit more lore going forward. So, that's why I thought it was overall solid. I liked Act 1 way more than Act 2 because we had some setup and resolution in Act 1, whereas Act 2, the resolution wasn't really there. So, no problem. But anyways, the main conflict in Act 2 is that we're trying to figure out who the impostor is, the one that copied the identity of our sibling. So that's like the whole driving point. That's like the entire driving point. And we do figure out the identity. Turns out to be Rerir, one of the 5 sinners of Conria, which is very hyped to see. While trying to find the impostor, then there's a whole Flins potentially murdering someone that turns out to be a framing by Rerir. And so we have to try to figure that out, but then that kind of just like dissolves into nothing. And then towards the end, when Rerir does get revived, we get a fight between Rerir versus Polonia, or Sandrone's robots, which kind of low diffs Rerir, but then Rerir gets the upper hand. Yeah, essentially the summary is we figure out who the imposter is, and it turns out to be one of the 5 sinners of Conria. Okay. And now, going forward, it's going to be, hey, let's make sure he doesn't get back to full power, which I think he should get back to full power because it'll help drive the plot forward and make things more tense and such. I think this will be a shorter review, mainly because I think it was it's a very straightforward act. The things I liked was mainly Flins and his interactions with both Rerir and us, just trying to give us his motivations on who he is and why he's doing what he is. One of the quotes I liked a lot from him was that, hey, good work doesn't always lead to good effort. It doesn't always lead to good outcomes. And it's a matter of how we respond to that. So initially, in Flint's backstory, he was a fae. He decided to put his goodwill into humanity, so put good effort into humanity. Failed, good results didn't come out, and so he was basically suicidal, is what he was telling us, until he was rescued by the Lightkeepers, and that's how he became a Lightkeeper. But his internal struggle is something I think is very relatable, how even though you can put your best into something, things don't go out the way you always want them to be. And towards the end of the act, he does have some kind of development because he recognizes that even though you can put in your good effort into things, and if things go wrong, you don't regret the good effort that you put in, right? Because you put in effort, like that's something to be proud of, that's something to remember as being good. So I think he still has a ways to go in terms of his character development and such, especially as we learn more about the phase lore and whatnot, but I thought that was a pretty good point about the Archon quest. I feel like the other characters, like our crew of protagonists, like Lalma, Nefer, Yehoda, Aino, Inefa, I don't think they did too much as I had kind of hoped, because they were mainly responsible for stopping the cannon from being fired that'll revive Rerir, but there wasn't too much substance there in terms of trying to stop the cannon. It was, hey everyone, let's try to stop the cannon. You're being fooled. You're being gaslit basically by Rerir. And then people are like, oh, okay. Right? There was a whole tension in Nasha Town, how the people of Nasha Town wanted some kind of light, some kind of hope, symbol of hope, to show that, hey, they can defeat the Wild Hunt. And so that cannon is that symbol of hope, and that's why they want to fire, that's why they want to use it and try to defeat the Wild Hunt. And so if we can't let the cannon be fired because it'll revive Rerir, then I think there should have been some kind of other symbol that they can turn to. Maybe our characters could have done something or said more things that, hey, the people of Nasha Town, you have yourself that you can turn to. You can always fight. You can always be a symbol for other people. But the whole conflict was very quick. There wasn't really any back and forth between the people who were really desperate to fire the cannon versus our characters that wanted to prevent the cannon. I thought that could have been better. I also think that Rerir, as cool as he is, I think he lost a lot of aura in the act, especially towards the end. Because, okay, so here's the thing about Rerir that I like and dislike. I like how we're trying to explore the idea of him keeping his sanity while using the power of the Abyss, right? Forbidden knowledge is supposed to drive people mad, but then we have sinners in Conria that are able to utilize abyssal power. And yes, it's very scary because I believe him when he says if he was 100%, he would just destroy Tevat. Like, it's a Sertologi kind of thing, where if a sinner has full power, they're beyond the powers of Tepat. I believe that. So it's very threatening. However, I feel like the fact that because Rerir can't get full power, because if he was, he would just be too strong and no one could stop him. I think that if we want to keep him in a weakened state that he is, then we likely need more antagonists to flesh out the story and have more enemies to fight for our different characters. Because if we look at it, the only antagonist is not the Fatui in Nod-Krai. The only antagonist is really just Rerir and the Wild Hunt. Because the Fatui also don't like Rerir. Sandrone was literally trying to low diff him with Pelosia. Because Rerir is a main enemy, but because we also have to keep him a little weak for the plot, we need more characters, more antagonists to introduce tension for our characters. So I'm hoping we can see that somehow, some way. But yeah, that's why I feel like Rerir lost a lot of aura in this act. Because like literally he gets revived and it's like, oh, it's a big moment. But then he says, oh. But then Flins is like, oh, too bad you don't have a human body. And then Rerir just like feels weak. He gets weakened. He's struggling against us. Even at the end, the last cutscene is literally VARKA like, just sneaking up on Rerir and being like, hey, I'm VARKA. I'm the Grand Master of the Knights of Favonius. Just like laying his sword on the table. And I'm just like, dude, VARKA's like aura, I've only seen him for like 2 dialogue lines, but his aura is like way higher than Rerir's. Yeah. Oh yeah, one more thing is that we were trying to figure out what Rerir's motivations are, like throughout the entire act. And then at the end of the act, he got revived, and we still don't know what his motivations are. So I'm like, okay. Or maybe we'll save that for Act 4, but when he was getting his powers, he was saying the names of the other sinners, so that was interesting. We would like to see some interactions between the other sinners and such, so if they could give that to me, that would be very lovely. We also didn't really move the plot forward with Columbina or the spaceship that much, so Columbina does help the traveler see a bit more of the past, where the traveler and their sibling came in the spaceship, landed in Nod-Krai, and then just didn't come out, but then we see the sibling suddenly outside, so it's like, oh, maybe there's another time-space shenanigan going on with how there are 2 bodies in the spaceship, but then there's like another body or something like that. And then Columbina, she's still kind of in the same place as she is. Well, even though she did come out to Nasha Town for a walk, you know, which I guess is character development because she was cooped up in her own little lair. So at least she's out and about taking a walk, but in terms of her goals, we haven't really advanced anything with Columbina. So in Act 1, it's revealed to us that she wants to go home. She's also getting weak. She's not getting her full power back. And in Act 2, it's the same case. She still wants to go home, and she's still not getting her power back. So we haven't really developed Columbina much at all. And then we have another plot point with the Fatui. It's like, the Fatui, well, we didn't really touch upon what the Fatui is, and Sandrone, the one that is based in Nod-Krai, who's supposed to be taking Columbina back, but she doesn't really care about that. You know, they're still using the remnants of the moon that was taken down, but it doesn't seem like we're progressing much there. And also, the Fatui are against Rerir, so you see what I mean with like, there's only one antagonist, but then there are a lot of protagonists. So I think I would just like to see a bit more antagonists. I'd like to see a bit more threats, a bit more tension. I do want to say I really like Flynn's character. I'm very excited to wish for him. I haven't really been wishing for too many characters, so I have a lot of gems saved up, but yeah, I think Flynn's is a very interesting character. I may or may not do a character analysis on him, especially if he gets more fleshed out in the future. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this. It's a very short video, a very short review. I think it's due to the straightforwardness of the act, so yeah, no big deal. I'm excited for Act 3 still, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. Cool. Yeah, thank you for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed the Archon quest. Anyone wishing for Flins, good luck. Get him. Get that Lantern Boy. And yeah, thank you. Catch you on the next one.